Hello and welcome to News Blitzer coverage of U.S. presidential elections. As polling day for election of the president draws very near, Russia, Iran, and China are being expected to dramatically escalate their efforts to influence the outcome of the elections. Referring to foreign interference in the U.S. presidential elections, a very recent threat analysis by Microsoft Threat Analysis Center says, Russian actors continue to integrate generative AI into their content. Iranian groups ramped up their preparations to enable cyber influence operations, while Chinese actors have shifted focus to several down-ballot candidates and members of Congress. Similarly, according to a prior assessment by U.S. the intelligence community and security organizations, foreign efforts to influence the 2024 U.S. presidential elections is projected to enormously multiply during the few days prior to voting on November 5 when the electorate, especially free-floating voters, decide on the candidate they are going to vote for on polling day. Between these two reports, it's clear that Russia, Iran, and China are using artificial intelligence and misinformation campaigns in a major way to push for the election of a president they prefer for their own interests. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence says that, among these foreign actors, Russia-affiliated actors are producing the largest amount of artificial or AI content through video, text, audio, and images. The motive is to boost Donald Trump's chances of getting elected while undermining his Democratic Party opponent, Kamala Harris. These efforts are now expected to enormously surge as polling day approaches, say the officials. Iran-affiliated entities, on the other hand, who have been used AI to generate social media posts and write inauthentic news articles for websites that appear to be real news sites, is also expected to escalate its efforts to influence the U.S. presidential elections. The Iranian entities are specifically targeting Donald Trump. Reuters says Iranian actors are using both English and Spanish language efforts that highlight polarizing issues, such as the Israel-Gaza and the Israel-Hezbollah war, to sway voters away from Trump. In a campaign called Bushnell's Men, the Iranian actors are also calling on Americans to boycott the elections due to the support of candidates for Israel. The MTAC report further adds, an Iranian cyber group that Microsoft tracks and identifies as Cotton Sandstorm has been rigorously surveying election-related websites and news outlets, suggesting preparations for more direct influence operations as election day nears. National intelligence officials too earlier told the press, our assessment is Iran continues efforts to fuel distrust in U.S. political institutions and increase social discord and efforts to influence the presidential race through the hack and leak operation against former President Trump. As part of its strategy, Iran operates covert news sites to target specific U.S. voter groups. In a campaign called Storm 2035, it is rigorously disseminating to such voter groups on both sides polarizing messages on issues such as the presidential candidates, LGBTQ rights, and the Israel-Hamas conflict. This effort is part of a broader one involving over a dozen covert news sites targeting Spanish, Arabic, French, and English-speaking voters. China, too, is significantly active largely through misuse of artificial intelligence to undermine American democracy by exploiting divisive U.S. political issues, though it is not pursuing and specific election outcomes, says the MTAC report. The Chinese actors are using AI-generated news anchors and creating fake social media accounts with AI-generated profile pictures. These efforts attempt to create division among Americans over issues such as immigration, abortion, and drug use. Among the various fake content being circulated by Russia, Iran, and China, the President Biden deep fake is the most high-profile one and was created using generative artificial intelligence. In another video of another high-profile person, namely Kamala Harris, an impersonator alleged that Harris had killed an endangered rhinoceros in Zambia, while another video made baseless allegations against Walz. Intelligence officials attribute both these videos to Russia. Importantly, the MTAC report said that several of the disinformation campaigns by foreign entities were being amplified by unwitting Americans, in the process exposing thousands, if not millions, of Americans to propaganda. This includes presidential candidate Donald Trump, who had posted on his X profile a fake video of Taylor Swift endorsing him for the presidency. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' campaign, on the other hand, before calling off his presidential bid, shared a video with AI-generated images of Donald Trump hugging immunologist Anthony Fauci. The fact is, Trump and Fauci are severely at odds with each other after a public clash during the COVID-19 pandemic. The main target groups of the AI-generated fakes are swing state voters and the diaspora in the U.S. Russia entities in particular have been targeted swing states with misinformation, fake websites, and similar activity. Mia Hoffman, a research fellow at Georgetown Center for Security and Emerging Technology, told Time magazine as the electoral importance of these groups has grown, they are increasingly being targeted with tailored influence campaigns that aim to suppress their votes and sway their opinions. WhatsApp is a major tool through which the diaspora is being targeted as it uses the app extensively. The diaspora plays a significant role in election outcomes in the U.S. The magnitude of the problem is well illustrated by a database of political deep fakes created earlier this year by researchers at Purdue University. The database has since its creation registered 722 incidents of AI-generated political deepfakes. Explaining how the misinformation works, Patrick Warren, the co-director at Clemson University's Media Forensics Hub, told the New York Times that the goal of the campaigns is not to fool discerning readers, but to lend credibility to disinformation already disseminated through social media. On the other hand, the impact of such efforts by foreign actors is well articulated by a Pew study published in September, which said that 57% of American adults say they are extremely or very concerned that artificial intelligence will be used to create and distribute fake or misleading information about the candidates and campaigns. What the people surveyed imply is that they fear misinformation and deep fakes could very well sway the elections one way or the other, depending on who does an effective job of it. Surprisingly, though, according to an Axios survey by Harris Poll, though the Russians, Iranians, and Chinese are actively working to influence the elections, the top concern of Americans is also about politicians spreading misinformation to manipulate their supporters. It's like, the call is coming from inside the house, John Jazima, CEO of the Harris Poll, told Axios. In past elections, there was always fear of misinformation and election interference coming from abroad. But here we see the most likely source of concern is America's own politicians spreading misinformation. It used to be, we were worried about China or Russia, fake ads, or Facebook. Now, no, it's coming from the campaigns, he said. Elon Musk, who is backing Donald Trump, is accused of furthering AI-generated political misinformation and fakes, even sharing in July a video that used a cloned voice of Kamala Harris's to say things she never actually said. Most worryingly, the Odin intelligence officials say that foreign efforts to undermine America's democracy will not end on polling day, but that they will continue their efforts by questioning the validity of the election's results, to foment trouble. The question that arises from all this is about the extent to which it affects the election outcome. Mia Hoffman told Time it's difficult to ascertain AI's influence on voters because major tech companies have limited the data they share. Meta recently shut down CrowdTangle on Facebook and Instagram, while Twitter ended free access to its API, making it harder for researchers to track hate speech and misinformation across those platforms. We're at the mercy of what these companies share with us, Hoffman said. However, as seen in other democracies, the AI-generated misinformation and hate speech has serious implications in a tightly contested election such as the one between Trump and Harris, particularly in constituencies wherein the margin of victory or loss winds down to a few thousand votes. The margin of difference between Trump and Harris is not much right now, with Harris marginally ahead. We will continue our coverage of the U.S. presidential elections, and if you have not already done so, please subscribe to this channel to latest videos on major events around the world and do share the video. Thank you once again.